Well, hello there. It's
Sapphire, Mary.
Today we're talking about Ghost World.
What do you think you're doing? Shut up that damn noise! Rock and roll, baby. Freedom of speech.
While their classmates head for college, Enid, Birch, and Rebecca Johansson focus their energies on tormenting those around them, from a goofy convenience store clerk, Renfro, to an eccentric art teacher, Douglas. But when they zero in on an oddball loser, Buscemi, looking for Ms. Wright, their seemingly innocent meddling threatens to shatter one of their hearts, not to mention their lifelong friendship. 2001 film, written and directed by Terry Zwigoff. Well, co-written by Zwigoff and the guy who did the comic book. Yes, it's based on a comic book. Never read the comic book, but that's how these things go. Scarlett Johansson and Thora Birch star in it. Terry Zwigoff, to digress very quickly, he was known for a movie called Art. He hasn't done many movies, but Art School Confidential, I believe, is one of them. I never saw it, but it's very good. It's critically acclaimed, or it's well thought of. But this movie, I think, is also pretty well thought of. Best film of the year, it says on the cover. But it's a very sort of quirky kind of movie about young people, specifically the Thora Birch characters, sort of trying to come to terms with the world, like when you don't really fit in with it. Perfect for someone to watch who's 22, just out of college. But yeah, it's definitely a movie I like a lot because it's very different. You know, any movie that's got its own sort of style and like there isn't another movie like it, I feel like I like those movies a lot. Not always, but it's a big point in the movie's favor. You know, it's the machinations, or, you know, the inner workings of this sort of town. You know, you have all these strange characters, and her and Scarlett Johansson have just gotten out of high school, and there's really no plot necessarily. Things happen to her character, you know, and they meet new people and this and that and the other thing. One of the people they meet is Steve Buscemi, and you know, I don't want to give away a whole lot because it's a really good movie. I mean, it's well written in the sense that like you can read into it a lot, like the ending, for example. I'm not going to spoil that, obviously. The most damning thing it says about the modern art, for example, is that you do a lot of work and everyone's like, who gives a shit, but you just put basically no effort into something. Like the girl who puts a tampon in a teacup and it's like, oh, you know, it was fucking brilliant, this, you know, that was so inspiring or whatever. You know, the less work you put into something, the better. And that's how one can feel a lot when you're in the film business. But it's got kind of an off-kilter sort of vibe to it. Visionary. Yeah, I definitely say that it's not really a movie, as I said, I think I've ever really seen before outside of it. It's hard to even really describe because it's hard to even say what it's like. I mean, first of all, it's got some punk songs in it, so that's always pretty cool. Yeah, it's hard to really say what makes it good. It's just that, like, it's an entertaining movie. I mean, that's for one thing. I can't stand artsy movies that are, you know, that are not entertaining. The movie kind of sits in that awkward position between being like purely entertainment and purely artistic. And it makes various comments on that because she has to retake an art class because she failed it in order to graduate high school. So it kind of is making commentaries on that and like the bullshitness of like modern art and like just things that are artsy in general, like artsy with no other purpose. And they're like very bleh and devoid of like entertainment value or anything like that, which is kind of how I feel. It's starting to I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm in the film sphere so much, but like I feel like so many people that I don't know why they're really watching movies besides just like, I don't know, brownie points maybe. But it's like if a movie's fun, it's like beneath people. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I'd say Oddball is actually a pretty good way to... I mean, it's a movie that you could definitely see someone coming out of and they'd go, wow, that was a weird movie. I mean, I wouldn't. I've seen weirder movies. But yeah, I mean, it's got funny moments. It's got memorable moments. I think there's a lot you can read into it. It's a movie that works on a lot of different levels. and it can be analyzed. And I think that's the kind of movie I like, is a movie where you can analyze it, as I said, especially the ending. That's really what it's about, is it's a movie about alienation. It's about floating through life, not really knowing. It's a very much a movie of this generation, I would say. It's, we don't know what we're doing, or, that would be kind of a theme of it, I think, is being in this strange sort of, ghost world where I don't know if ghost world, even though it's a title, if that's the right word for it, because it's like kind of, I guess everyone seems ghost-like in the sense that they're like surreal, or like that you could feel like a ghost, like you're not really there, you're not really, present, or that the things around you don't seem very real. Which is, there's a lot of commenting about how these annoyingly peppy people, and like the kind of, and there's and there's like certain weird juxtapositions of things that happen. Let's actually just say spoiler warning here, and we'll talk about the ending a little bit. What I think about the ending is that I think it's pretty clear that Enid kills herself. And the reason I say this is because we are introduced to this character who is an old man who's waiting for a bus, and she tells the guy that there haven't been any buses that ran on that street for years, and he goes, "You don't know what you're talking about." And toward the end, she sees the old man get on the bus, which is followed by her getting on the bus not long after that. Now, this is after she has destroyed the lives of pretty much everyone around her and her own, and things are not looking good for her. She can't hold down and among other things, there's just her father's getting remarried to someone she doesn't like particularly, and all this other shit, and it just seems like her, life isn't looking great. But yeah, highly recommended. Very, again, funny, good performances, well written, well directed, I would say. It feels like a very complete work, That's a really weird thing to say about it, but it's a very easy watch. You go from beginning to end, and you're like, wow, that was pretty, that was pretty short, and it is almost 2 hours long, but it's entertaining. It's entertaining, and then you can sit there and with whoever you watched it with and talk about it later. So I think that's a positive thing. Anyway, this has been a PXKM Productions movie review, and I've been
Sapphire America.
Bye-bye.
जान पहचान हो